Hello and welcome to the exclusive interview of Polynex Awards and Conference. So today I am thrilled to welcome a true leader of the plastic and chemical industry with over 30 years of experience in leading innovation and strategy at global giant. Please welcome Mr. Pierre Juan. How are you, Juan?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm fine.
So could you please tell our audience a bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, so I'm French. I'm a mechanical engineer of background, and I started my career at different large chemical groups, LyondellBasell. Then I went to Dow Chemicals as application development engineer in Switzerland. Then I moved on to the Dow Automotive business, and as product manager for Dow Europe. Between 2000 2005, then I moved on to BASF for 6-7 years in different positions, including business director, sales manager for Europe in automotive. And then I joined Ineos Solution in 2012 as a sales director, and then global vice president for automotive business. Then move on to innovation as the global vice president for innovation, reporting to the CEO of Ineos Solution. I went on as innovation manager for LG Chem, and more recently I launched my own consulting company, Sustain Plus Europe.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. Okay, so let's start with our question. And my first question to you is, Pierre, you have spent over 30 years shaping the plastic industry at major players like BASF, Dow, right? And looking back, what were some defining moments that shaped your leadership style?
Well, I really moved up on the hierarchy level at BASF, at the time a chemical group, a German chemical group. In 2002 to 3, I went from being a global key account manager to be the head of all global key account manager at BASF, and that was a defining moment. My cultural background and my international expertise as French, but speaking English and German has been a key success factor culturally, but also dealing with large corporations was also an important point. Then the second key turning point has been when I joined Ineos Solution, and I was elected to be the global vice president for the automotive industry, plastic, for Ineos Solution. Then my relationship to the CEO at the time was key, and also I could capitalize on my expertise, technical and commercial, to make it.
Great, that is great. So my second question to you is, you have worked across technology, sales, strategy, innovation, right? Which area challenged you the most and which excited you the most?
Well, I kind of a natural sales guy. I mean, even though I'm an engineer, but of course, the most challenging part was when I was the kind of advisory position for executive, board level of Ineos Solution, because I wanted them to not only understand my, sales and market background in automotive plastic, but also the full plastic industry across the board, including the different technologies and competition, of course, but also the innovation and the mega trends on the industry to get prepared and to support the strategic roadmap of the company.
Okay, so my next question to you is, have you been head of strategic innovation at global giants? What drove your decision to start Sustain Plus Europe?
Well, at some point I had accumulated so many of these large corporation names that, I could go on, and yes, there were people looking for people with a certain experience, but I find it more exciting to try to work for myself and to sell this expertise on the market, and see if I could develop myself a business model. I'm supposed to be I was actually in many marketing director positions. So and I found it super exciting to try to market myself and find a way if I can turn my expertise into value for my customers. So that is a project that I had for a while, but as age was going on, I think my risk now is very limited. I must say I have succeeded in my career in the past, so it's a lot of fun and excitement.
Yeah. Okay, so we are moving forward with the second section of this interview, right? And which is Sustain Plus Europe. And first question for this section is Sustain Plus Europe is a young company, but built on the decades of experience. What gap in the market did you see that others were missing?
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, selling what I could do within the large corporation is not really valuable because each big corporation have their set of experts and expertise inside. And typically in Europe, they are rather cutting resources than hiring based on the current situation. Therefore, I thought about what would be my spot where I could really make the difference. And because I've been working on sustainability for the last 5 years, starting with automotive, but also packaging really intensively for the last 3 years, I thought that addressing how could my customer better develop their business in the field of plastic driven by regulation in the future. Of course, I'm not the only one doing that, but I have the experience of let's say, the field, the technical, and the sales activity, not so much the regulation. So combining these both expertise of understanding the regulation and how they are turning to the business development critical success factor would be my spot for the company. This is why I created Sustainability in Plastic, Sustain Plus, which is addressing the sustainability challenge of the industry through regulations with my expertise.
Yeah, great. That is great. So my second question to you is, new European regulation like ELV and PPWR are shaking up the plastic and packaging industry. What your advice to companies struggling to adapt?
Yeah, that's basically my whole pitch. There is a key factor which people underestimate. It's time. I mean, the regulation, the quantitative and the analysis of the post-consumer recycle flow and such things, this is well understood. Where a lot of companies got it wrong was the timing. So investing too early or investing too late, putting the resources, the right resources at the right place for the right moment is a key success factor. I mean, and I was wrong myself when I think back 5 years ago when we saw these regulations coming. Everybody started to rush in and try to think about merger and acquisition and so on and so forth. And what we see today is that the regulation has been taking more time than expected, and the really starting point would be 2030, 2032. As a matter of fact, what is the right time to invest at the right moment, and in what is something that you need advices.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. Okay, so my next question to you is, how do you balance academic knowledge and real-world experience when advising client on strategy and innovation?
Well, academic knowledge, first of all, I've got a partner, Min Wong, who is actually a young engineer who has a chemist background and also a business background. So she has a good exposure on the different recycling technology. So she brings me the up-to-date academic knowledge. And I am building also on my own expertise as business manager and then combining the best of both worlds. But what I'm doing as well is to studying really hard and attending so many exhibitions as possible to get up to speed on all the development. I am active as a consultant today with recyclers and actively integrated in their whole strategy development, and this keep me close to the market. 50% of my job I'm already dealing with top management advisory for recyclers, dealing with today post-consumer recycling plastics and including in the market. So that gives me a sense of pragmatism.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you believe is the most understood aspect of plastic sustainability today?
Most understood.
Yeah.
I mean, people understand the regulations. They have set of experts who are dealing with, chapter 6, chapter 5, and they do understand and read all the documentation. Therefore, the technicality of the regulations are understood, and are, even though they are moving, the technical details are there. I guess your next question will be, what is less understood?
No, yeah. So my next question to you is, are there any technologies or business model in the recycling or material that you think are overhyped or underrated?
Yeah, okay. Technology-wise, when I'm going to plastic recycling, there are different steps of the technology along the value chain. This is also part of the study that I'm now finalizing and explaining the total supply chain issues, the technology, the quality management issues, the supply issues. Anyway, to come to your question, I mean, of course, overhype has been clearly over the last 5 years the importance of chemical recycling. Because today, even though there's been massive investment in pyrolysis, gasifications, depolymerizations, and you call it even dissolution technology, there's very few, many investments have been put on hold as the profitability of the whole thing is depending on the incentive that the regulation will give to the industry. So they are by themselves not really sustainable business model if the regulation are not there. So the importance of chemical recycling in the process has probably been overestimated in the first place, or maybe too early. When mechanical recycling and all the, let's say, more accessible technology in sorting and compounding and and all the purification of the plastic in mechanical recycling is something that will probably drive the next 10 years of the technology.
Yeah. Okay. So moving forward with the next session, personal and leadership philosophy. What is the one principle or mindset that has constantly helped you succeed, no matter the company size or the complexity of the challenge?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a hard worker, so and I enjoy what I'm doing. So that's an important factor in my activity. And I try to be as open, and curiosity is one of my driving force. Even though I'm not necessarily working on a specific topic, I'm always interested and curious of the development of the innovation. And sometimes you connect the dots that people who have not had this curiosity cannot connect. So I think that's what brought me for, let's say, to this innovation activity. Yeah.
Okay, great. So my next question to you is, what legacy do you hope to leave in the plastic and sustainability space?
Well, clearly, I want my customer to be successful, and by providing the right advices to make them more successful than they would have been without me. I mean, that's let's say there's 7 years ahead of me now to reach the launch of the both regulation, which is automotive and packaging, but other will also follow, appliances, I'm sure. And as a matter of fact, my legacy would be that these customers who've been following my advice are indeed more successful in surviving the struggle. Because today they are all struggling. As I said, many investments have been made too early or without any sufficient cautious or risks assessment. And there is this there is a high risk, let's say, and that's my objective.
That's great. Okay, so coming down to the most exciting session of this interview, which is rapid fire round. Yeah. So my first question, biggest myth about the plastic in Europe today.
The biggest myth of plastic in Europe. I think there is plastic bashing in Europe today. Consumers have a misunderstanding of the value of the plastic by itself, which bring some, let's say, public to extreme position like banning plastic and bashing plastic, which actually against their own interests, even from the environmental perspective.
Yeah. Okay. So next question, one regulation that companies underestimate.
I think the substance of concern, so the regulatory side of the plastic, because it's technical and difficult to assess, is something that we misunderstood or underestimate when it comes to plastic recycling. So the legacy of these substances that was allowed in the past but are banned today. I'm talking about brominated flame retardant or halogenated flame retardant, but also PFAS or so any components which has been banned and that's still being used in plastic today. So that is definitely an issue for mechanical recycling, and that deserve more understanding.
Yeah. Okay. So next question, a company or startup you admire in the sustainability space.
I like Murat Technology. They have been quite smart in developing a chemical recycling process which reduces the carbon footprint and relatively high quality. Circularize is another interesting technology for digital product passports and identifying along the chain the product. So these are kind of interesting innovation.
Great. Okay, so a career risk you are glad you took.
Yeah, I mean, founding my own company, I keep on receiving offers for jobs, but I took the risk now, probably the highest.
Yeah. Okay, so what is tougher, transforming supply chain or changing mindset?
Well, changing mindset is a bigger issue on the global level.
Yeah.
But let's say, changing mindset.
Great.
To make it simple.
Okay, so please complete this sentence. Right. The future of plastic is.
The future of plastic is sustainable.
Great. Okay. So now my last but not the least question of the interview is, if you could give me one piece of advice to the next generation of leaders entering the plastic and sustainability space, what would it be?
It's the technical applications perspective. I think there's been too many of these dogmatic and philosophic and, let's say, regulation-driven decision around plastic, with many people who don't understand the application and the implementation of those on the field, which has been brought a lot of failures and mistakes and delay by underestimating the let's say application side of the plastic. So I think the coming bottom up by understanding the application, the processes to transform plastic, to the regulations and the, let's say, big picture on sustainability is my advice.
Great. So this is it for now. It was pleasure talking to you. Right.